You're standing in the middle of a room that used to feel like home, but suddenly, the walls look foreign. The air tastes like copper, and there's a deafening roar in your ears that won't stop. You just found out. The one person you built your world around has introduced a third party into your sanctuary, and right now, your brain is firing off 1,000 why questions like a malfunctioning computer. But here is the brutal, honest truth that no one wants to tell you in the heat of the moment. The why doesn't matter anymore. The only thing that matters now is the what's next. In the next 60 seconds, your biological system is going to scream at you to do something desperate, to beg, to fight, or to fix what you didn't break. If you follow those impulses, you are signing the death warrant for your own respect. We are going to dive into the psychological emergency protocol for the man who has just had his foundation nuked, and why your next move will determine if you spend the next 10 years as a victim or the rest of your life as a king. Most people react. Few choose to understand. If you're still here, you're part of the few. This isn't about sides. It's about seeing clearly and moving better. Subscribe if that's the path you're on. Drop a comment and be part of the conversation. The first thing you have to confront is the phantom reality. Your brain is currently trying to reconcile the woman you loved with the woman who just betrayed you. You are looking for a glitch in the matrix, hoping this was a mistake or a temporary lapse in judgment. But you have to realize that the person who cheated on you isn't the person you've been living with. They are the shadow version that has been lurking behind the scenes for months. When you try to talk it out immediately, you aren't talking to your partner. You are talking to a defense mechanism. She is in survival mode, and in survival mode, the truth is the first thing that gets sacrificed. If you stay in that room trying to make sense of the nonsense, you are just allowing her to rewrite your memories until you start doubting your own eyes. This is the trap of emotional sunk cost. You think about the 3 years, the 5 years, the decade you spent building this life. You think about the vacations, the inside jokes, and the shared dreams. Your brain tells you that throwing it all away over one mistake is a waste. But the sovereign man understands that the time is already gone. You aren't throwing away a future. You are accepting that the future you imagined was built on sand. If you try to save the relationship because of the time invested, you are just paying a higher price for a product that is already broken. You are throwing good life after bad memories. Let's look at the tragedy of Dante. Dante was a man who believed in the power of forgiveness above the power of standards. When he found the messages on his girlfriend's phone, evidence of a month-long affair with a guy she met at a conference, Dante's first instinct wasn't to leave. It was to save her. He thought that if he could just understand what was missing in their relationship, he could fill that hole. He spent weeks in marathon conversations, crying with her, holding her, and promising to be a better man. He even took her on a luxury vacation to reconnect. Dante is the loser in our story because he engaged in value self-liquidation. He thought he was being noble and patient, but in her eyes, he was becoming pathetic. Every time he forgave a new lie, his stock in her mind dropped to zero. She didn't see a loving partner. She saw a safety net she could walk all over. Eventually, she didn't even bother hiding it anymore. She realized that Dante was so afraid of being alone that he would accept any version of her, no matter how toxic. Dante lost his house, his savings, and his sanity trying to love a ghost. He proved that a man who accepts a lesser version of his partner is eventually deleted by that partner. He became a caretaker for his own heartbreak, showing us that begging for loyalty is like asking a thief to return what they've already sold. The psychological root of this failure is the hope loop. When you find out she cheated, your brain produces a massive spike in stress hormones. And for some men, this creates a weird, obsessive attachment. You want her more because you're afraid of losing her to someone else. It's a biological glitch. You have to recognize this as a chemical delusion. You don't actually want her. You want the feeling of safety back. But the safety is gone. The seal of the sanctuary has been cracked. The sovereign man understands that you cannot fix a betrayal with more intimacy. You can only fix it with space. This leads us to the law of immediate silence. The most powerful thing you can do when the truth comes out is to say nothing. No, how could you? No, who is he? No, I hate you. Just a cold, absolute withdrawal of your presence. Silence is the only response that cannot be gaslit. It is the only response that she cannot argue with. When you disappear, spiritually, emotionally, and physically, you leave her in a vacuum of guilt. Without your reaction to feed on, she is forced to sit with the reflections of her own choices. Silence is your armor. It keeps your identity safe while you figure out your next move. We have to analyze the identity crisis. Most men define themselves by their role as a husband or a boyfriend. When that role is stripped away by betrayal, they feel like they don't exist anymore. They feel invisible. This is why they stay to feel real again. But the sovereign man knows that his identity is anchored in his mission, his values, and his brotherhood, not in a woman's opinion of him. If you are destroyed by her cheating, it's a sign that you had outsourced your self-worth to someone who didn't have the integrity to hold it. This moment is your audit. It's the universe asking you, who are you when the woman leaves? The reality is that the betrayal is the truth. The relationship was the lie. You didn't just lose a good thing. You escaped a counterfeit. Behavioral patterns show that cheating isn't a one-off event. It's the symptom of a character deficit. If she was capable of it once, the mechanism is there. You can spend the rest of your life monitoring the border, or you can move to a new territory where the people are peaceful. The sovereign man chooses the new territory every single time. You have to understand the ghost of the third party. Even if you forgive her, there is now a third person in your bed every night. Every time she's 10 minutes late, every time she smiles at a text, every time she's not in the mood, your brain will go back to the moment of discovery. You are signing up for a life of psychological torture. Most men think they can handle it, but the stress load eventually kills their ambition, their health, and their joy. You aren't saving a marriage. You are prolonging a funeral. The sovereign man recognizes that closure is an internal job. You don't need her to confess everything to move on. You don't need her to apologize for the pain to stop. You move on the second you decide that your peace is non-negotiable. You realize that the truth isn't what she says. The truth is what she did. Actions are the universal language of the soul. If her actions said, "I don't value you," then your response must say, "I don't need you." You are the captain of your own soul. If the navigator has jumped ship, you don't steer the vessel into the rocks out of sadness. You grip the wheel, set a new course, and realize that you are lighter now that the dead weight is gone. Do not be the man who tries to row a sinking boat because he likes the color of the sails. You are a sovereign man. And a sovereign man knows that the only thing more expensive than starting over is staying with a liar out of fear. You have to realize that the discovery was your get-out-of-jail-free card. It was the universe showing you the exit before you spent another 20 years building a life with an infiltrator. Behavioral observations suggest that men who walk away clean after betrayal reach peak success within 2 years, while men who stay and struggle never recover their original fire. You are the source. You are the flame. If she wanted to play with matches, let her burn in the house she destroyed. Most people react. Few people understand. If you're here to think deeper, not louder, you belong here. Subscribe and stay with the ones who choose clarity over noise. Leave a comment if you're part of the conversation. No ego, just awareness. The second half of the aftermath requires you to master the law of strategic disengagement. When a woman cheats, she has already spent weeks or months justifying it in her mind. She has created a narrative where you are the problem. If you react with anger, you are simply validating her narrative. You are giving her the evidence she needs to tell herself, "See, this is why I did it." The sovereign man kills that narrative with indifference. By showing zero emotion, you deny her the exit interview. She needs to feel better about herself. You leave her with a question mark that will itch for the rest of her life. This is about the psychology of the ghost. Most men think they need to win the breakup by showing off or dating someone new immediately. But that's just another form of seeking approval. The real win is when she realizes she no longer has a frequency to reach you. You change the codes, not just on your door, but on your spirit. You become unsearchable. When a man becomes unsearchable, he becomes mythic. While she is cycling through the shallow thrills of her betrayal, you are building an empire in the shadows. Let's look at the rebirth of Silas. Silas was a man who lived his life out loud. When he found out his wife of 7 years was living a double life with a man from her past, Silas didn't scream. He didn't post vague quotes on social media. He didn't tell their shared friends the gory details. In fact, Silas did something much more terrifying. He became silent. He deleted his accounts, sold the house within 30 days, and relocated his consulting firm to a different state without leaving a forwarding address. Silas is the winner in our story because he mastered the art of the clean break. He realized that his pain was a private fuel. He didn't want his ex-wife to witness his healing. He didn't want her to have the satisfaction of seeing him struggle. 6 months later, Silas appeared on the cover of a trade magazine for a massive acquisition. He looked leaner, sharper, and completely unbothered. Silas won because he stayed sovereign. When she eventually tried to reach out to apologize, mostly because her new reality wasn't as shiny as she thought, she found that Silas's phone number was disconnected and his email was filtered. She couldn't even find a picture of him to cry over. Silas had deleted the file. He proved that the ultimate revenge isn't success, it's erasure. He stayed sovereign because he realized that a man who disappears to build is a man who can reappear as a god. He didn't get over her. He outgrew the universe she existed in. The fourth major psychological realization is the mirage of the other man. Your ego wants to compare yourself to him. You want to know what he has that you don't. But the sovereign man knows that the other man is just a tool of the betrayal. He isn't your replacement. He is your relief. He is taking over the maintenance of a faulty system so you can go build a new one. You don't hate the janitor for cleaning up the mess you left behind. You thank him for taking the weight off your shoulders. Furthermore, we must address the sovereignty of the first 90 days. Behavioral observations suggest that your physical state dictates your emotional recovery. If you sink into the couch and drink the pain away, you are consolidating the trauma. But if you punish the body to free the mind, if you hit the iron, clean the diet, and master a new skill, you rewire your dopamine. You force your brain to associate the breakup with growth instead of defeat. The final realization is that she didn't take your time. She returned your future. Every year you would have spent with a cheater was a year stolen from the woman who will actually honor your throne. By exposing herself now, she has given you back the most valuable commodity in the universe, time. You are rich again. You have the currency of choice. The reality is that a man who looks back while running will eventually trip over the same stone. Behavioral observations suggest that forward momentum is the only medicine that works. You are the power. If the book is stained with lies, stop rereading the last chapter. Close the book and pick up a new pen. I have a smart question for the men who have the sovereign fortitude to finish this analysis on the reconstruction. If you were building a skyscraper and you found out the steel in the foundation was rusted and fake, would you try to paint over the rust and keep building higher? Or would you tear it down to the dirt and start again with reinforced carbon that can withstand the storm? You are the skyscraper. Your values are the steel. The betrayal was the rust. Stop building on a lie. Drop a comment below and tell the Brotherhood. What was the first thing you deleted or discarded when you found out? How did the weight of your life change when you stopped carrying her secret for her? Share your sovereign shift. Your tactical deletion might be the spark a brother needs to burn the past and light the way to his new empire. Let's build the Council of Sovereign Men together. If you're still here, you weren't just watching. You were paying attention. That means you're done with noise and ready for clarity. If that's you, subscribe and stay connected to this space. Drop a comment with what stood out. I read them. Stay grounded. Stay aware. I'll see you in the next one.